It was a dramatic evening at the White House as President Donald Trump signed two new executive orders that could reshape the landscape of U.S. immigration and foreign worker programs. One order establishes what the administration is calling the Trump Gold Card, a new path to U.S. citizenship through direct financial contribution. The other dramatically increases the cost of H-1B skilled worker visas, setting a new price tag of $100,000 for each application. Together, the two orders underscore the Trump administration's broader strategy of tightening immigration policies while simultaneously monetizing access to U.S. residency and work opportunities. The first order, signed in the Oval Office and immediately publicized across Trump's social media channels, introduces the Trump Gold Card. This program allows individuals to purchase a residency pathway for $1 million or corporations for $2 million. According to the president, the measure is not merely symbolic, but designed to bring in massive revenues for the U.S. The second order, equally sweeping, targets the long-running H-1B visa program. For decades, this visa has allowed skilled foreign workers, particularly in technology, science, and research sectors, to contribute to the U.S. economy. Under the new rule, companies that apply for H-1B visas must now pay $100,000 per application, in addition to the salaries offered to those workers. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, standing before reporters, was blunt in describing the rationale. Lutnick argued the orders would stop what he described as the systematic replacement of American workers with lower-paid foreign labor. Howard Lutnick said, "So the whole idea is no more will these big tech companies or other big companies train foreign workers. They have to pay the government $100,000. Then they have to pay the employee. So it's just non-economic. If you're going to train somebody, you're going to train one of the recent graduates from one of the great universities across our land. Train Americans. Stop bringing in people to take our jobs." His remarks reflected a central theme of the Trump administration's economic nationalism, that American corporations have an obligation to prioritize domestic talent over global labor pools. CBS News reporter Erica Brown, reporting live from outside the White House, offered insight into how the administration is framing the move. Brown explained that the president is pitching the H-1B changes as a way to ensure that high-skilled jobs remain accessible to American citizens. For years, technology firms in Silicon Valley and beyond have claimed difficulty in recruiting sufficient qualified U.S. workers for roles in engineering, computer science, and research. President Trump, however, dismissed those concerns. Donald Trump said, "We're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people, and in many cases, these companies are going to pay a lot of money for that, and they're very happy about it." The president went further, suggesting that corporate leaders themselves are on board with this dramatic price hike. Brown noted that in the executive order, the White House specifically cited alleged abuses of the H-1B program. Critics have long charged that the system was exploited by corporations to undercut American workers, paying foreign hires lower wages while providing fewer protections. The H-1B program was originally established decades ago to allow companies to recruit specialized foreign talent in fields where U.S. expertise was lacking. Engineers from India, IT specialists from Asia, and researchers from Europe were among those who helped power America's tech boom under the program. But over the years, the visa has become one of the most controversial aspects of U.S. immigration. Critics argue that outsourcing firms, particularly those headquartered abroad, use the H-1B pipeline to bring in workers en masse, replacing Americans and reducing wages. The Trump administration has seized on this criticism, portraying the new fee as a corrective measure to level the playing field. Still, with only about 20% of applicants typically approved, the H-1B was already one of the most restrictive visas in the system. Now, with a $100,000 surcharge, its accessibility will be further limited, likely only to the wealthiest corporations. Perhaps more striking than the H-1B overhaul was the announcement of the Trump Gold Card. In his typical dramatic style, the president took to social media to unveil the initiative. Donald Trump said, "Today, we are proud to announce the Trump Gold Card. This card will be available for $1 million for individuals and $2 million for corporations. He went on to frame the policy as both patriotic and profitable. Donald Trump added, "We anticipate the Trump Gold Card will generate well over $100 billion very quickly." With those words, the administration openly tied immigration status to financial capacity, a move critics say codifies elitism into national policy. The dual announcement sparked immediate debate. Supporters of the administration argue that monetizing visas is a creative way to bring revenue into government coffers without raising taxes. They suggest it could attract wealthy investors and successful entrepreneurs who would contribute both capital and jobs to the US economy. Opponents, however, warn that the measures risk transforming American immigration into a pay-to-play system. The idea that citizenship, or even a pathway toward it, could be purchased outright is a radical departure from the country's historical principles of merit and opportunity. On the H-1B side, immigration advocates fear the new fee will devastate US competitiveness. Silicon Valley companies have relied heavily on global talent to fuel innovation. By pricing visas at $100,000, smaller startups and mid-sized firms may find themselves unable to compete with industry giants who can afford the cost. Erica Brown, in her report, emphasized how the two executive orders fit into the broader context of Trump's immigration agenda. For years, Trump has promised to crack down on what he calls abuse of the immigration system. His efforts have ranged from restrictions on asylum seekers to limits on family reunification and caps on refugee admissions. Now, with these new orders, he is extending that philosophy into skilled labor and investor categories, areas traditionally supported by both parties as engines of economic growth. The timing of the announcement, coming just months before a heated election cycle, suggests a clear political calculus. Trump has consistently leaned into policies that appeal to his base of working-class voters, many of whom view foreign labor as a threat to their livelihoods. By pitching the H-1B fee as a way to ensure Americans are trained and employed first, and by branding a gold card that symbolizes both exclusivity and revenue, Trump is doubling down on themes of nationalism, strength, and financial pragmatism. Reporters pressed the administration on how the revenue from the gold card would be used. Officials suggested it could help fund infrastructure, education, or even deficit reduction. Yet no specifics were provided. Meanwhile, legal experts pointed out potential challenges. US citizenship law has traditionally been based on merit, family, or refugee status, not direct purchase. Some critics argue that the gold card may face constitutional or statutory hurdles. Still, Trump appeared unfazed. His confident declaration on social media projected certainty that the program would move forward quickly. In essence, the two executive orders redefine the value of immigration in starkly economic terms. For the Trump administration, immigration is no longer primarily about filling labor shortages, reuniting families, or granting refuge. Instead, it is about dollars and leverage. Donald Trump said, "We're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people, and they're very happy about it." Donald Trump said, "Today we are proud to announce the Trump Gold Card. We anticipate the Trump Gold Card will generate well over $100 billion very quickly." Howard Lutnick said, "Train Americans, stop bringing in people to take our jobs." Those three statements capture the essence of the administration's argument. America should train its own, monetize the immigration process, and ensure that only those who can afford it, or those corporations willing to pay, get through the gates. The coming weeks will likely bring fierce debate in Congress, lawsuits from advocacy groups, and heated arguments from tech executives. Supporters will hail the revenue potential, critics will decry the elitism. But one fact is undeniable. With the stroke of his pen, President Donald Trump has reshaped two of the most critical elements of US immigration policy, and the reverberations, both political and economic, are only beginning.